Before we jump into today's show, when there's updates on the Mavs, we bring you a video. We got some news to jump into in just a second, but perfect time to subscribe to the channel. We are getting closer and closer to 30,000 subscribers, so be sure to hit that sub button. We got a Kyrie update around his injured hand. We'll talk about that and more coming up on Dallas Mavericks Today.
Let's go.
He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. Kyrie not yet cleared for 5-on-5 practices, scrimmages, etc. per Marc Stein after having surgery on his hand in July. But Coop did get this news and a little bit more as some of the Mavs players are working out in LA together.
Yeah, while he's not fully cleared, it does seem like he's going to be ready for training camp on October 1st. Newly acquired Klay Thompson is also working out with the Mavs as they're doing a little mini camp there in Los Angeles, trying to get acclimated with all of them and whatnot. Kyrie is there and he's participating in just kind of supporting his teammates and whatnot. He can't do any of the 5-on-5 basketball stuff, but it's a good sign to see him there and see him being involved.
Do we know if Luka's there? I'm guessing he's not.
Luka is not there because he is going over to Slovenia for Goran Dragic's farewell game, so to speak. Him and Dirk and among a bunch of other European and Dragic's teammates from his time in the NBA are over in Slovenia right now. So Luka is over in Europe currently.
Will the Balkan boys all be there? That's the question I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know if like Boban and all of them will be there, but Luka for sure will be there. They're all really tight. Obviously, Luka and Goran Dragic, Slovenian teammates, so he's over in Europe right now. But as far as Kyrie goes, this timeline is pretty much what we expected. We knew he was going to be ready by the start of the season. It seems like he's going to be ready by training camp on October 1st, barring any setbacks, and that hopefully means that we'll get to see him in some action in the preseason.
Yeah, they said, 8 to 12 weeks. We're like 6 weeks in, so he's not going to be cleared yet. But training camp is 1st of October, so he's still got about another 6 weeks. So you would think he'd be on track to be ready for that. For sure, opening night on the 24th?
24th against the Spurs.
He still has over 2 months to be ready to go. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal if he misses most of training camp at his age. Not a big deal. Yeah, it sounds like he's progressing nicely. And regardless, good to be around the guys and start building those relationships and or continuing to build some of the relationships already in place. But obviously, want to get a guy like Klay acclimated both on and off the court. So nice to see the fellas fly out west and meet up and get together.
Certainly, yeah. Hopefully, Kyrie will see some action in the preseason. Mavs have 3 home games and that 1 road game in Los Angeles against the Clippers at their new dome stadium. I think they're calling it the Intuit Dome, even though I think domes are football it's an arena.
All basketball arenas are domes.
You're an arena or a center. You're not a dome, but the Clippers like to be different. That's neither here nor there, but hopefully Kyrie will get some action there and get ready for Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs to open the year.
Show Kyrie Irving some love. Spam 11 in the comment section right here as we wish him a speedy recovery. Sounds like he's progressing, but not quite where he needs to be to return to practice action. All right, good sign, Coop, that this team's pretty tight. I think we knew this last year. I think it was a big reason why they had success. And I think you see this in sports a lot. Like, if you like your teammates and you're talented, better chance you're going to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just them going out to L.A. as a team and working out, not under the directive of the Mavs or anything. It's kind of like, hey, let's go get together. Let's go work out. Let's go have some fun and get to know each other. I do think this is, a really good thing, especially for Klay Thompson to start to get to know his new teammates and whatnot. I think he lives out there in the offseason. I know Kyrie does as well. So them just kind of in a different environment that's not like the pressure cooker that is the part of the NBA season. Just getting to know them in a relaxed environment. And, chemistry is everything nowadays, and it's part of the reason why the Mavs got to the finals last year.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like 2 years ago, like, obviously the guys on the court, it just didn't work. The Christian Wood experiment, but that team never felt like vibey to me.
Absolutely.
This past year, it was just like lively, brought a fun, youthful energy to the team. P.J. Washington bought in right away, coming home to the Dallas area where he grew up and played high school ball. Gafford, brought something on and off the court. It just feels like it's a good group of guys together. We know Dinwiddie is a vibes guy too,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you bring him back. So it just seems like this is going to be a team that really has a chance to gel and do something special here.
Yeah, they have a perfect mix of veteran and youth and energy and all that. It does feel like the vibes are really high, and the season obviously hasn't started yet, and things can change and whatnot, but right now it seems like all is well in Mavs land, which is not something that you could have said, 18 months ago when the Christian Wood team. That team was a really odd team.
That team sucked.
It was a bad year, and I hope we never have to go through that again. I don't foresee anything like that happening this year, but it seems like this team is together and they're ready to work hard to try to bring Larry O.B. back to Dallas.
No question about it. Football is back. Basketball will be soon, which means it's the perfect time to download the PrizePicks app and create an account today. It takes less than 90 seconds. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. You can also get a bonus $50 with your first $5 play. Limited time for that deal. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS. The way it works is simple. You choose 2 to 6 players on any given entry and choose more or less on their stat projections for certain stats for individual games. Season-long plays. We got a season-long 3-player entry going right now as we're taking the more on Luka, Steph, and Victor Wembanyama points per game this season. Luka 31.9, Steph 27.6, and then Victor Wembanyama at 24. Take the more on all those. 10 to win 50 there. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with certain entries right now. PrizePicks is the best. You guys should get started today at prizepicks.com/CLNS. The code CLNS will get you that deposit match right off the jump.
All right, so we kind of knew this, but it sounds like Kyrie Irving was a bigger part than maybe we even knew about getting Klay Thompson here to Dallas. He was a part of the initial pitch as they met out in the LA area, and it seems like Kyrie just had a really big influence on kind of talking to Klay person to person about life in Dallas and how he acclimated and how the organization treated him. And Jason Kidd said that he was a big part of the reason Klay is now a current Maverick, and here's what he said.
Yeah, here's what he had to say. Then I have a few thoughts as well. He says, when you talk about recruitment, it was a lot of people that were involved in that, but one of the biggest players in that was Kai. Kai being able to player to player detail his experience of what Dallas has been like for 2 years and being able to tell Klay the honest truth of what he thinks can happen with Klay coming to Dallas. And Coop, I think this is pretty critical because, look, we saw with Dirk, as likable as he was and as good of a guy and an easy guy to play with he was, that wasn't really his style. He wasn't really the recruiter type, and I think that's kind of similar to Luka. Like,
Yep.
I think guys like him. I think he gets along with guys. Players around the league respect him, but he's not making house calls. He's not doing any of that. Like, and look, he shouldn't necessarily have to do that. Like, it's the organization's job to get talent, but it's helpful when you have guys who are at the top of your team to really be able to pitch players on why Dallas should be a good fit for them. So, even if Kai isn't going to be Pete Kai as a player anymore at this point in his career, if he could just have impacts like this and be a leader and still be that secondary on-the-court player, I mean, that just adds even more value to what he brings to the table.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive, and you hit it right on the head. I had the same point that Luka and Dirk are different to where they really didn't want to be involved in the free agent recruiting process. It wasn't a thing that they particularly enjoyed, and Luka's kind of expressed that as well. Like, he has not shown the desire to be that kind of guy. And in today's NBA, if you're going to be an elite team, you kind of do need that guy, and Kyrie is the guy for the Mavs. And frankly, the Mavs have never had a player like this before. They've never had a guy of Kyrie's stature who's willing and able to go out there and recruit players, use his resume and use his persona to be able to get guys to come play with them, because frankly, the Mavs have come up short every single time with Mark Cuban and Donnie Nelson. Now you have this new regime with Nico Harrison, and if you have a player like Kyrie who, for all his flaws in his past, is very well respected around the NBA, it pays dividends, clearly.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And look, the NBA more than any other league it's a player's sport.
Absolutely.
And obviously all the leagues are, but in the NBA it really is, because the players have more power. There's only 5 players on the court at a time, so they dictate more in terms of the winning and losing. Like, football is such a like coaches matter a lot more in football. They just do. Not that Jason Kidd doesn't matter. He clearly does, but Like, it's all about player acquisition and getting guys that fit
100%.
together. And being able to have a guy that can recruit good talent and help you in there. Obviously, Nico Harrison has a job for a reason, but when you have a player of his stature going to the Hall of Fame that's also willing to sell other players on the organization, it's just huge. I mean, there's no way to diminish it. So the Mavs are lucky to have Kyrie. I never thought this would work out as well as it has.
None of us did.
But, that's why sometimes you take a chance in life, and that chance has paid off so far for Nico and the Mavs.
It kind of got me thinking, like, I do believe that Kyrie is the true leader of this team. While Luka's obviously the best player, Kyrie's the vocal leader in the locker room and on the court that's kind of keeping everybody accountable and kind of holding everyone in check. I think he's the leader of this team if I had to pick one. What do you guys think, though? Let us know down in the comments, and Harrison as well.
Yeah, I definitely think he's the galvanizer. I think Luka, like, in game mode, like, I think they look to him to kind of be
he leads by example,
that presence. But if they need to lift their energy, if they need to galvanize the troops, I think Kyrie's kind of become the guy that does that, and that's fine. Like, Luka doesn't have to be a top tier, one of these all-time leaders that you hear about. Now,
yeah, you don't need that.
He can't be James Harden, but I don't think he's that either. So, I think Luka's grown into being a leader, but he doesn't have to be the leader.
Yep.
And look, championship teams, it's rare when you have a Dirk situation where it's one guy and a bunch of role players. Like,
absolutely.
This is a different day in Mavericks, in the history of the Mavericks, and now you bring in a guy like Klay who's also going to be able to lead and be a vocal guy. So it's exciting, man. It's really, really exciting.
Training camp about 5-6 weeks away. I can't wait, man. I've been saying this for about 6 weeks now. I just want to see this team play basketball. Yeah. That's all I want. We're 2 months and 3 days away from opening night against Victor Wembanyama. It needs to get here soon.
How about this? We're closer to the next season than we were the last season. As crazy as that thing's. By about a day.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
If the Mavs had forced Game 6 or 7, that wouldn't be the case.
That would have been different. Hopefully they don't force Game 6 or 7. They win it in 4 next year, so it's in early June.
Hopefully Smitty's in shambles this time.
We can't wait for the season. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll have you up to date with all of the latest. If there's a further update on Kyrie and whatnot, we'll obviously have you covered. So hit that sub button, and we'll see you soon on Mavericks Today.
Peace.